Hello, I'm Marvin. I'm your Pampered Chef host, and I'm going to be talking to you today and showing you how to make something that is a lost art today, and you don't see much, if at all, in any stores, and that's called salt rising bread. Now, a misnomer is the bread's not salty, and it doesn't use salt to rise. I'm not sure how it got started with the salt rising bread. Some speculation is it's packed in salt near a hearth to keep the fermentation process warm. This is a very tricky bread to get right. And I can't tell you how many times I've tried to make it and have it not turn out and have to start over and over and over. And I found a jewel of a product with Pampered Chef, and it's turned out perfect every single time that I've used this. So I'll explain what that is. But this is a bread that doesn't use any yeast, and it's the people in the early settlers who didn't have yeast. It wasn't marketed actually commercially till the 1850s, I think. So they used the natural fermentation process. And unlike making a sponge for like sourdough when you can have it at room temperature, 80 degrees, this has to be between 105 and 115 to develop the bacteria that's going to cause this to grow. Now, this bread is denser than white bread, but it's lighter. And I call it angel food bread because it's the texture is kind of, for me, reminds me of angel food. But it is my go-to. I absolutely love the flavor of this bread. The texture of this bread is fantastic, and toasted, it's just heavenly. The smell, however, is not heavenly. It kind of smells like barnyard. It smells like barnyard when you're developing the fermentation process. It smells like barnyard when it's baking, and it smells like barnyard when it's toasting. But the flavor is one of a kind. So it's not something you can find in the stores anymore. But I want to start with showing you how this is done, and we will do that now. First thing you need to know is that use the right cornmeal. Now, if you buy cornmeal in a store, you're going to get degerminated cornmeal. Now, this is just Jiffy Mix's corn muffin mix, but you can buy regular cornmeal in the store. I've tried it, and some people have told me it'll work. I have never had it work. So you'll want to get cornmeal that has not been degerminated, so it has the whole germ in it. It's a no-fail for me, so if you could find Rob's Red Mill, any organic store or any store that sells degerminated cornmeal is what you'll want to go with. Now, to do the starter, you're going to take that half a cup of degerminated cornmeal, and then you're going to need a tablespoon of sugar, and then you're going to need a teaspoon of salt. Now in my house I only use kosher salt. I just like it better. Sea salt's good too, and then I'm going to use a cup of milk. You can use whole milk, and you want to get it warm. You can scald it and let it cool slightly. Dip my clean finger in there. If you start to scald it, you see a little bit of a skin on there, you're good. So you're gonna dump that into that mixture. I'll just use a spoon here to stir it around a little bit. And this is your starter. Now, it doesn't look like much, but what happens is, I'm going to put this in that wonderful new Pampered Chef product that I told you about earlier, is their Instapot. It has a proof setting on it. So I'm going to take this Pampered Chef mixing batter, and it's not going to sit in there straight up and down, but it's going to be enough. And I put warm water in there between 105 and 115. And then I'm going to put the whole thing into the Pampered Chef quick cooker. So there you go. And put the lid on. And then you want to turn it to the proof setting. And there you go. I'm going to start the custom time. I want to increase it. Let me start over again. Time. Well, I'm going to start this over again. Cancel. So, this is where it's good to read the instructions first. Turn it till it gets to proof. Now it's going to proof here automatically for 30 minutes, but I think you can increase this to 3 hours. There we go. Or 6 hours. So it'll only go to 6 hours. And you're going to want, this is going to take, here I am going past it. It's going to take minimum 6 hours. It could take up to 24 hours. Now I found in here about 12 hours is perfect. You will start smelling it. And at 6 hours, go ahead and check it. And you'll open it up and see if it is bubbly and has that wonderful barnyard smell. And then you're ready to go to the next stage of making this bread. So this is where we're at next. We'll check in to start and see if the sponge is good. And I'll let you know exactly how much time it took in this Pampered Chef quick cooker. Now, here's another plug. If you have a show in November, you can get this quick cooker at 60% off instead of paying full price. And you can do an online show like this one. And the only thing you need to do is invite people to it. I take care of everything out, products shipped directly to customers. You don't have to worry about getting orders. You don't have to worry about delivery. It's all done through the virtual online party. So, Pampered Chef Quick Cooker, it not only does proofing, it does slow cooking, steaming, searing. You can cut chicken, pork, fish, make soup, beans. You can make a cheesecake in it. I put 2 steaks in here last night just to see how it'd do from frozen. And in 23 minutes, I had 2 frozen steaks, fork tender, great for soup in 23 minutes. So I stuck them right from the freezer into the Instapot at the quick cooker, and 23 minutes, they were fork tender. So it's a great tool. A must in my kitchen. Do potatoes in it regularly. So let's check back again and see when our starter's ready to go. Okay, so we're going to check the starter. It's been going for about 12 hours. And this is what it should look like. It's got that foamy stuff on the top. You can smell the fermentation. And we're going to take this, set it there. And we dump this water out. Because we're going to use this to make our sponge. So I'm going to start by putting in 2 cups of warm water. A 1/4 cup of oil. Vegetable oil is fine. 2 cups of flour. Now I use bread flour because I just like the texture of it better. This. One, 2, and then I'm going to put in my sponge, and I need to get a spatula. I didn't have that ready. So I'm going to take my starter here, I'm going to dump right into the flour, water, and oil. I'm going to stir it together. don't have to beat it really much, just make sure it's good mixed in. There you go. Now this is phase 2. I'm going to put it back in the quick cooker. The lid on. I'm going to turn it to proof. There. Click time. In about 2.5 hours it'll take. I'll just push 3 just in case. But it'll take 1.5 to 2.5 hours for that to get bubbly. You'll want to watch it close because sometimes it'll get really bubbly. It'll come right to the top of your pot here and mess up the underside of that lid, so you have to clean it pretty good. I had that happen once. But I think with this single recipe you should be fine. We'll come back and check it at 2.5 hours and we'll go to our next phase. Okay. Okay, we're ready to continue with the bread. I want you to come look at the starter. It's raised for about 2.5 hours. This is the sponge. So nice, probably doubled in height there. So it's good and active. So we're going to dump this right into the bowl. It does stink. It has smell-o-vision, but it does stink. Okay, to that we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And 6 cups of flour. And again, I'm using high gluten flour or bread flour. And you don't have to be exact with the flour because really depending on the weather, you might need a little more if it's really humid. 3, 4, 5, 6. The key is just to get it so the dough's not super firm, but not sticky either. I'm going to leave it for 8 minutes. And then when I'm done, I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so the bread has been kneading for about 8 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. We'll take it out. It's nice and pliable. And I'm going to divide this into 2 loaves equally, so I'm going to use my Paper Chef scale here and see what the weight of it is. So I was hoping to get 2-pound loaves. It looks like they're going to be just over 2 pounds. So I'm going to cut this in half. And that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so we have 2 nice big loaves. I'm going to grab a tool here right quick. So I'm going to just take 2 pans, on my bread pans. I don't wash. Just need a light coat of non-stick spray. Put oil in if you want, but I just wipe them out after I use them and not wash them so they stay pretty non-stick. Then I just want to shape these into 2 loaves. However you want to do that. Something that looks about like that, it's good. And then this is a cutting, slicing tool that Paper Chef has. And I use it to dock the bread. By docking, I mean put holes in it. It's going to help it raise well and not have pockets of air holes in the bread. Okay, I just took the loaves out of the oven. I left them in there a little too long. They're not bad, but I actually took a nap, and but they turned out great. You'll notice on these loaves, the rounded top isn't as round as it would be for a normal loaf of bread. Now, I have had it turn out closer to that, but this is typical of, actually, it looks a little better than some of the pictures I've seen of salt rising bread, which tends to be pretty flat and kind of sunk in sometimes. So these are two beautiful loaves, and I'm sure they're absolutely delicious. I'll let it cool a little bit before sampling some with real butter. So this is salt rising bread. I will post the recipe, and hopefully, if you want to give it a try, again, the fermentation process is the trickiest part of this bread. Once you get that down, then you will have success every time. And like I said, it was always hit and miss for me. But since the using the Pampered Chef Quick Cooker, the fermentation process is a hit every single time. Good eating. Man, is that delicious.